One. Good evening and welcome to the September 23rd Templeton Board of Health. We are going to open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first, review the minutes from August 26th.
It looked good to me.
Me.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Laura's
I'll
gonna make a
second it.
Earl second, all in favor?
Yay.
Thank you.
That's for Laura to sign.
And then Lori, communicable disease updates.
So with COVID, as of September 19th, we had 28 tests that actually were recorded. And we had 5 positive results. As you know, there's a lot of at-home testing that doesn't get reported. So same protocols, hand washing. You know, if you're sick, stay home kind of thing. Try not to spread it. You can go to the state's website at Mass DPH for more information about staying home when you don't feel good, quarantining and isolation. With West Nile virus and triple E, we are still considered low risk. This includes our adjacent cities and towns being classified as remote, which is Athol, Winchendon, and Royalston, and low, like Templeton, is Gardner, Hubbardston, Berry, and Petersham. So we're still in good shape for that. Again, if you have water stagnant in your yard, you should dump it. The mosquitoes get more and more potent through the fall until we have a hard frost. Again, Mass DPH has a really good website about triple E and West Nile virus. And we've had no other communicable disease reports at this point in time. So that's a plus. We still have up-to-date test kits for COVID in the office. They are free to our residents. Well, they're free to everybody, whether you're a resident or not. And we still have some masks and some gloves if anybody needs them.
And moving along to the Leominster Tobacco Control Alliance, the updated retailer packet that we.
So I just wanted to bring that before you so that you had information on what they are actually doing and where the information comes from. It's the state that puts the bans on things like vape, flavored vaping and flavored cigarettes, cigars, things like that. The packet was delivered to all of our retail sales that have cigarettes and cigars. I don't think anybody in town, I'm pretty sure, I didn't get a chance to actually look before the meeting tonight. I don't have anybody who's selling vape anymore. We used to have a store on 101 and they closed. So, as far as vaping goes, I'm not sure. But each retail store got the packet. They work very closely with the owners and managers of those stores. And they should all be aware. It updates them on the things that have been banned. Menthol, as you know, has been banned. And there's a couple other small things in there, but all of our retailers are aware and ready for inspections.
Excellent.
And if you had any questions.
I'd say there was. We can always call Joan, right?
You can call Joan if you want to.
We can talk to Lori as well.
Yep.
I read through and I didn't have any questions. It's pretty clear. Okay. And we move along to the fluoride discussion with the Templeton Water Department. Scott, yeah, please.
So the reason I invited Scott is because there was information about 171% fluoride, and I'm not sure I understood where it came from, but it was a concern. So I did ask Scott to join us because they're the ones that do the testing.
Yeah, Lori sent me that email, and a resident had concerns about the fluoride levels in the town water. I don't know where that information came from,
I
but
tried
it
to
is,
find it too, so I don't know.
it is completely wrong,
Mhm.
For Templeton.
for Templeton. Yeah, I don't know where that percentage came from. I'd be curious to see the article that we got it out of. But, just to give you guys a quick rundown of what we do with fluoride. We test fluoride every single day of the year. Somebody's in the water department every day of the year, Christmas morning. So we test for chlorine, we test the pH, and we test the fluoride every day in our lab at our Sawyer Street water plant. We fill out monthly reports. One fluoride report goes to Department of Public Health, another one goes to DEP. And one of those reports is called a split report, where we take a sample and then we also send that same sample out to a independent lab and they verify our tests to make sure that our equipment's calibrated correctly, we're testing correctly, things of that nature. So it's just like a checks and balances. The target range is 0.7 parts per million. And they give us an average if it's a 6 or an 8. At the end of the month, it always averages out and we always hit our target. I look back for the past 3 years, there's been 0 violations for
I look back
fluoride
at
levels.
past, like 10, whatever I could see on the website. I don't see it.
Yeah,
Seen any.
I can give you guys reports, you know, they're a monthly report. I gave Lori last month's report just so she could see what it involves. It's a legitimate test report. So, you know, I don't know how to justify that anymore. What we're doing is by the book and we're on it literally every single day. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything about it.
I was curious as to where the numbers came from. As
So am
well.
I, yeah, because it's
I would like to-
completely off the wall.
Yeah,
We got it from a email resident who was concerned.
I know that the town is, that the water department has received accommodations before too, and I know it's not gone over the rate. I know as far as, I believe, I think maybe where I think the information was coming from or where he thought, I don't know where the resident thought it came from. But I know there was some questions with the National Toxicology Program that they had released a report and the neuro developmental hazards and whatnot. But they actually were asked, they backtracked on a lot of that with the original draft because it didn't have a peer review process. So I trust that the water is wonderful. I haven't had a cavity in 40 years since I've lived here. The toxology report was like 324 pages. I will admit I did not read the entire thing, but I got the gist of it. I also know CDC still recommends and supports fluoride along with the American Dental Association, the Academy of Family Physicians, American Academy of Pediatrics. I mean, and we as Board of Health, or I am Board of Health, definitely support it. So we thank you for coming. If there's any other questions in the room.
Yeah, Scott, no, it's 170%. Just for reference, what would be, what is it supposed to be?
0.7 parts per million.
Okay, oh, so,
Yeah, so
yes, like you were talking about the fluoride, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that, it's just, the numbers are so far off. I
Yeah.
was kind of-
So far.
Yeah, that's
You're
why I
not
was like,
even
point of
remotely
reference is
close.
a percentage to.
it's like
to what?
several pools full of fluoride.
Exactly. And at that level, sure, that would be
That would be very-
disastrous to
for
somebody's
not
health,
just-
you know? But
Probably
um,
neurodevelopment.
that's absolutely not.
7
what
parts
we're
per million
doing
is
with water.
not-
It's, yeah, so I question where that came from too, so
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the article on that just to,
I can send you the link.
I understood you 7 parts per million and then they said
Yeah,
170% and I said.
Yeah.
"That- the two numbers don't make any kind of sense. So it's not
Exactly.
for anybody watching, just, or here, but I have a question about it.
Way out there.
Yeah, that was way out there. All right.
And I personally will not apologize for supporting fluoride, so a resident who wants me to in front of the town.
No.
And we thank you for what you do. So does
Yeah.
anybody else have any questions? I was gonna say, Julie, go ahead.
About the national toxicology report that came out in August.
Mhm.
There is also a lawsuit that was filed. It's been in court for a number of years.
Mhm.
The judge, it was waiting for the national toxicology report to come out, the monograph, and it is 324 pages.
Yes, it is.
The disturbing thing about it is the lowering of IQ
Mhm.
with water fluoridation.
Yep.
And that water fluoridation isn't the only way that people ingest fluoride. Some
Right.
Medications.
And when they lowered that rate, trying to remember what year it was, they took into consideration if you have community water fluoridation, if you're getting from your toothpaste or mouth rinse, all of those things. So they took that in. That's why they lowered it, so that people would understand that they were taking all of that into consideration. And some of these studies that were associated with the lower IQs, the level was more than double what the fluoride intake was in our end of the world. And I find it interesting that people get upset because the fluoride comes from China, and many of these studies were done in China. So that kind of makes me wonder a little bit, like what's going on as far as that. But they weren't peer reviewed. And they did have to backtrack on that, the toxicology NTP. So what they said. So I understand all the other things that are going on, but the studies haven't been perfect.
Where did that toxicology report, where did that originate? Who conducted that?
It was a peer-reviewed study by our government. You can have this if you want.
If I can add to that too, the fluoride is a natural mineral.
It is.
So it's already in, different parts of the world. The fluoride is already in the groundwater.
Yep.
India, for instance, there's a lot of it there, and it discolors teeth. But it is at such a high level compared to what we have.
Right.
I think that that's something that when you see these studies, that's something to take into consideration on where was the water that they're sampling from, where was it taken?
Right.
Different areas of the world have different amount
Yeah,
of
you can
fluoride.
go to
high
let's say,
groundwater.
Colorado,
Colorado
has
has
a
a
very high. Yeah. But the National Academy of Science was serving as the peer reviewer for the draft. And they had a lot of concerns. That was one of the things that wasn't addressed by the National Toxicology report. So a lot of the low fluoride exposure, that kind of stuff. So there was many different conclusions. So it's like they're still working on that study. Part of it was peer reviewed, but it wasn't the best study, I'm gonna say. One of them was, they did urine samples on pregnant women. Like, what was that showing? I don't know, but there's a lot of different things and as the Board of
I
Health, we
think
still,
the urine studies on pregnant women was to determine if the fetus, the baby, was
Right.
getting any
Mhm.
fluoride.
yeah,
Because they have found that when babies are breastfed, the mother filters the fluoride out. Okay, so it's not in the breast milk, but if babies are bottle fed and it's with tap water that's fluoridated, then the baby is getting significantly more fluoride than they should be
Yep.
getting and the loss of IQ points, I think, is the main.
well, there was other questions too. I mean, that some of the studies that were showing the loss of IQ points, there was other factors that weren't quite said in some of this stuff, so. But it also, I mean, the National Toxicology Report states that its findings don't apply to just water fluoridation regarding that, so. I don't think it's not the only thing that they're considering.
Right. So I mean, it's
And we-
analogous to lead. They took lead out of a number of things.
Yeah,
Because it
well-
was lowering kids' IQ. And it seems that fluoride is on that trajectory.
We can disagree on that, but we got to remember that the most common disease still is chronic disease is tooth decay. And fluoride does help with tooth decay. I don't believe it's causing neurotoxins, but I understand the concern. But the concern was that we had 171% in our water, which we do not. And I appreciate you coming. So any other questions?
I think that we should keep an open line of communication with the water department on this subject and maybe talk about a couple different things. I know in the past, they talked about warnings on the water bill about formula and
Yeah.
things like that. And maybe we can come up with a couple different ideas.
Like a public awareness type thing.
Yeah, and is fluoride in the water solely for the benefit of
For oral health.
oral health?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it doesn't make
you
the
don't
water
use it for
safer.
anything
Nope.
else?
That's the sole purpose of it.
Okay.
Doesn't disinfect the water or anything like that.
You don't use it to find, you hear all sorts of things. You don't use it to find leaks or things like that?
And a byproduct of it is it makes it easier to find leaks, yeah.
Okay,
Because we can take a water sample if we're not sure, like, I mean, if it's a water main break, it's pretty obvious, but sometimes you have leaks in the system.
Mhm.
We can take a water sample of it and bring it to the lab, and if it has fluoride in it, then it's,
You know
our
that
system's
it's
leaking. If it
town
doesn't have
water.
fluoride in it,
Yeah.
then it's not our system, groundwater or something like that.
Pretty handy dandy.
That is
It does work as a diagnostic tool for that, yeah.
And do we add chlorine to the water as well, you
We do,
said?
yep.
Okay,
That's the disinfection.
right. No, I know what it's for. So,
Yep.
and testing the pH is awesome too.
all right.
Okay.
So I'll just keep a line of communication
Sure.
with you and might be some suggestions. I have to do some reading first.
Yeah, I mean, we could put something on our website if you like. I know we're changing over billing software right now, but I do believe that there's a spot on the bill that we can put a small little like blurb on there about it, a couple lines. We have a few different ways that we can get it out there. But as far as, what we're obligated to do through DEP and the Board of Health,
Mhm.
we're doing exactly as we're supposed to do.
You are.
Those are the
Thank you.
regulations that we have to follow, even if we don't necessarily agree with it. That we have to
Mhm.
abide by those regulations, and that's what we're doing.
And I think it was introduced to Templeton in the 1950s.
Yeah, one of the first.
Yeah, 51, I believe, yeah. Right? I mean, directly after the system was put in.
Any other questions, comments?
No,
Just as a personal thing, I've lived here my whole life and I have really nice teeth and I don't get cavities and I'm actually really smart. And I drink water every day. So just as a personal thing.
No, thank you. Okay.
We all set?
thank you,
Okay.
thank you,
Nope.
Scott.
No, not yet, Scott.
Just wanted to clarify,
Sure.
in 2013, 2011, 2012, what was the safe level of fluoride in the water?
I'd have to look back. I don't know when the actual regulation change was. It went from 1 million to 0.7. But offhand, I do not know the year that regulation change was.
Well, because the reason I spoke, I sent in a letter. Sorry, I'm a lot of breath.
Good time.
I woke up and I saw this on and I said, I hear 172% of what? That doesn't make any sense. 1.2 was the fluoride level in 2011, 12, and 13.
Okay.
That is 172%. 0.7. That's the point. So that was the safe level in 2011, 12, and 13, promoted by everybody, which we're promoting phosphorus waste. Plus, that's what it is. It's a toxic problem, toxic industrial waste that they decide to get rid of by giving it to everybody. And I'm really tired of hearing how good it is when we keep on diminishing and diminishing the number. And you see kids all over the place with developmental disabilities. And I relate the two, and I don't think good teeth are worth it. Because every school-age kid gets the toothpaste or the whatever they put on the teeth at the school twice a year. TES.
Okay. I don't do that, but, um,
But I'm just
I can
saying,
tell you I grew up without fluoride, with none, because I didn't have it in the water. We got fluoride from our toothpaste. I had cavities all the time. I mean, by the time I was 12, I had all but I'm gonna say 8 teeth that didn't have a cavity on them more than once. I can tell you since I've lived here, I've had none. I drink the water all the time. The rates went down in 2011 or 12, I don't remember exactly what, because they were taking into consideration what fluoride you were getting from other sources. And there was different places in the world, like Colorado or whatever. Looking at the toxology report that I thought maybe perhaps you had read, I don't know.
I read quite a few of them.
Okay.
I mean, the one I read the last thing was about that neurotox.
Okay, but as I said earlier, they're still working on that. It hasn't been completely peer reviewed. They've adjusted. There's been all kinds of things going on with it. I'm,
Like the safety factor for the level of fluoride. It's been constantly updated.
they've updated it once since the beginning of the fluoride recommendations to get it to the optimal level. So it's been updated once. So I'm not sure why you're feeling that way. I'm sorry.
I've read. So
You what?
I read.
I do too. Yes.
If sometime in the future, the town decided they wanted to stop putting fluoride in the water, who would have the authority to do that? And what would the process involve?
The Board of Health has the authority to put it in or to take it out.
Totally the Board of Health's decision?
And
Okay.
yes, that's what
Thank
it's
you.
been. Yes, thank
Town
you.
meeting, right?
It can also be done by town meeting.
Okay.
That was tried a few times.
It was.
I want to say 11 or 12 times, Julie. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Sooner or later, they'll get it. The mentality's been affected.
My concern with the fluoride, in addition to losing the loss of IQ, which I believe is real. The court was waiting on this national toxicology report to come out and be published. It was withheld by the Health and Human Services. Okay, for whatever reason, because this lawsuit was taking place. Now the judge has it and he is going to be making a ruling. So the judge realized that this was important enough to take into consideration after all of the testimony. The other part that concerns me is that I can afford a filter to take fluoride out. It's not easy. You can get chlorine out pretty easily, but fluoride is very hard to remove from the water. And you don't have a choice. If you have public tap water, it's in there.
It's in all the water that you buy in the store too, generally, so at a lower level, but they don't have to put it on the label.
Right, but I filter everything.
No, I understand that.
And my cooking water, I'm able to do that.
Mhm.
You know, my daughter just had a baby and I made sure she had a filter that would take the fluoride out so that when she supplements with formula,
Mhm.
it doesn't have fluoride in it. I'm lucky enough to be able to do that.
Right. I understand that. I also know that I work in schools throughout Massachusetts. There's many people who don't have any toothpaste, who don't have toothbrushes. There's little children that I've seen that have no teeth because they've all rotted out of their mouth. That little bit of help that we can give them, whether it's through helping to arrest a cavity that's existing because they don't go to a dentist or don't have the means to go to a dentist, whether it's whatever reason, I can't say. We can use silver diamide fluoride to help arrest that cavity. We can give them fluoride to help to promote, to have better oral health. But the only toothpaste they get throughout the year is that little tiny tube of toothpaste that we give them when we go in and see them once or twice a year. So I understand everybody's concerns. I also know that not everybody in this town probably owns a toothbrush or brushes their teeth on a daily basis. This is a way that we can give back to the community by helping to give them a start or or help with their oral health. And oral health is related to overall health. And
And
that's
when you're-
important.
When you're a child and you have really bad teeth, it just because they fall out, it still affects your teeth as an adult.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Just,
You know, my point is that maybe we should look at providing toothbrushes and toothpaste to people.
One of the
Don't
most
have it.
cost-effective ways to combat early childhood caries is through water fluoridation. It's the most cost-effective way. And it's. I had early childhood caries myself, and children who suffer with, early childhood caries. They may not have neurological deficits, but they have other social and developmental deficits as a result of, having pain in their mouths and having to live with that as a child. So it's really tough. It's not an easy black and white problem. And I respect everybody's opinions here, but I do see the other side as well. And so I'm a proponent of fluoridated water.
And I respect everybody's opinions too, but I can have my opinions. I know I've gotten screamed at a few times at town meetings, which I don't appreciate, but I'm gonna go by what the CDC supports, and I know that the town is doing, the water department is doing what they're supposed to do, what they've been asked to do, and they're staying within those guidelines, so. And I appreciate your opinion too, Mr. Mayor.
I just happen to disagree.
Yep, and we can respectfully disagree.
Yeah,
But again,
get the fluoride out of the water and all we good.
Right. Any other questions, concerns? Comments?
I know that when I was younger, we had fluoride in our water where I grew up. And I also went to the dentist and got fluoride treatments on my teeth, so it's like, I don't know,
How are your teeth?
my teeth, I don't have cavities,
That's awesome.
but I think that was probably definitely overdone at that,
Yeah,
but I don't know,
I didn't even get it at the dentist, so
they don't do it anymore.
my dentist didn't even believe in anesthesia, so.
I can say that I grew up in Gardner. Gardner's fluoridated their water all along,
Mhm.
and so forth, and my dental care is horrible. It has been since I lived in Gardner. I had cavities my entire,
Oh,
young life.
there's other factors too, so.
Oh, I know,
Diet,
yeah,
other things.
baked
so-
potato.
Sounds good right about now, so. All right,
so I think we'll keep an open dialogue.
yep,
Sure.
Our relationship has improved over the years with discussion. And we may be able to do a couple of things.
Yeah.
Compromise.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it fits into what I'm required to do,
Mhm.
Board of Health and DEP, yeah. Because I'm certainly not gonna put my water license on the line,
I would never
No,
ask you to
you
do
know,
that.
so.
we do that.
So,
We'll be in touch with maybe some things to put up
Yeah,
on the website.
absolutely,
Perfect. All
sure.
right. Thank you so much,
Yep,
Scott.
you're welcome.
Right, we were gonna move on to the recycling regulations, update and discussion.
so we are still working on a regulation. Are you Joyce? Jane,
Jane.
do you have some things for me? I'm Lori.
Oh, you're Lori.
I am.
Oh, okay, you didn't have a name?
I'm not
She's
special.
vaulted ruler.
She has too many names.
A few, just a few.
Oh.
So Jane has been kind enough. She's done some research and she found some things, and I heard her say Rutland,
Yes.
which is close, so that's even better.
It's all accessible online if you look up Rutland's bylaws.
Okay.
That's just part of it where it starts down here. I thought it was pretty good for the most part and maybe something applicable. This is also a noise control law. I don't know if we have one in this town.
We do. It's pretty light though.
It's very dated.
It's
Okay, but
light.
it's very
Yeah.
detailed. And I
Okay.
didn't know if you could possibly use this too. This is not Rutland, but I can also email you the links. Because I could only print out a part of it today.
That's,
Don't
Have to-
it, no, honestly, if you email me the
I
links,
will. Your
that,
email's on the website?
it is. It is.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That's Rutland. Good to know.
So I don't know how she's special and she got to come up, or how you looked it up, because there's very few things out there that I could find that were specific. And this is actual zoning. But we can still use the information. It's much quicker to do a Board of Health regulation regarding the regulations than to try and pass it through a zoning article.
And then it said, there's another link I'll send you too. It's the actual laws, written by a lawyer group that specializes in environmental control laws.
Yep.
I can send you that too. It's just too long to print out. And there's also Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 50A, which if these bylaws are created and approved before any permits or any building is started, then that building or permit cannot,
It's scrutinized, yes.
right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You-
I was able to find a couple of things too. I'm not sure if they're the same as yours. I don't think so.
Honestly, I will take whatever you have.
And you might have to slice and dice.
And that's what it is going to end up
Yeah.
being. It's going to be taking the best parts of what other people have already done, and
Yeah.
I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So,
For you guys.
thank you.
This is for you. And some of them are just from like emails that I've gone through from discussions that we've had online.
Yep.
And there's just some suggestions. One suggestion was to take the bylaw that we have about landfills and add
Right.
solid waste recycling. So it can't be interpreted as just landfills.
Right.
So.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
so I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
A
it.
lot of reading on this, so.
I have been reading the other articles that have come through too from toxic.
Templeton Community.
Community
Against
say it,
toxic
Yes.
waste.
Yes, it's been a lot of information, so I'm still processing a lot. But this is very helpful, all of this. Can I have this back? Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Come on.
When you're done with that one, I'll take that one back too.
Maybe.
So, I really hope to have something drafted out for the next meeting. Once I get it drafted out, y'all can see it. And I'm gonna, if everybody thinks, mostly the board, if we're good to go, then we can have town council look at it to make sure I've covered our bases.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want to, and I really don't think any of you want to do it over again. So,
I understand that anything you do has to be approved by DEP.
yes, what happens is it would go through, we would have hearings for it. It would be, and we're only required to have one hearing, but we'd probably do, once it's written, 2 informational meetings and a hearing. And then that would be also after town council review, and then we have to send it to DEP. And DEP gets the final say, but we've never sent anything in that DEP has argued with. And there was an era when our bylaws were codified, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. And the citizens petition got that back on, and there was no repercussions from DEP. They had no problem with it. So I don't think
And we
this,
already have something that's been approved.
right. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just incorporating all of the information to cover all the bases and cover the whole town. So. Anything from you guys?
Nothing. That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for that. Much appreciated.
Does anybody have anything else they want to add to this pile at this moment? But know that my email is on the website and you can email me anything. Well, not anything. But
With discretion.
anything to do with,
Recycling.
yes, I'd be happy to accept. And we'll go on from there and hopefully next meeting.
Yes, and thank you very much for bringing all that in, Lori and Jane.
I was not nice to Jane at first because I thought it was somebody that was going to cause me problems. I hope
It's early yet. No.
I hope I didn't offend you because I was being careful because I didn't know where you were going with it.
You sounded a little upset, but that's all right.
It's been a long day.
It's a
If I
lot.
took it out on you, I'm sorry. So,
Thank you.
so email me and I'll get something ready.
All right.
And that's all I have.
I think that's all we have. Our next meeting will be October 28th, so hopefully
That sounds like close to Halloween.
it's close to Halloween.
You can't do it.
Can't, are you
Too close.
you'll not be able to come, so. All right, and if we have no other discussion or concerns, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. I'm gonna beat you to
I'll
it.
second
Earl, so.
that at 7:36.
7:36.